My fiancée told me she needed some space to sort things out. I agreed. Not long after, I discovered messages between her and her sister discussing a plan to pin another man's baby on me. So, I canceled the wedding, sent the screenshots to her dad, and evicted her from our apartment. What followed was absolute chaos. All right, Reddit, buckle up. My week went from finalizing wedding details to total fallout faster than I could process it. Call me Cole, 29M. I work as an inventory coordinator for a regional plumbing supply company. Last year, I made about $58K including bonuses. Not amazing, but solid for where I live. The job's dull but reliable. My fiancée, Sabrina 26F, and I were together for 3 years and engaged for 4 months. We lived in my apartment, an older second-floor unit on Parkside. I'd been there 5 years before she moved in. About 850 square feet, 1 bathroom, rent was $1,150 a month. Our wedding date was set for June 18, about 5 months away. We'd already spent a decent chunk of money. $3,000 down for the Riverside Inn venue, roughly $1,200 for catering, $600 for the photographer. Invitations were stacked in the spare room, ready to go. Guest list sat around 140 last time I checked, though honestly, by Christmas I'd stopped caring. I proposed last May at a scenic spot about 40 minutes outside the city. Trees all around, I got down on one knee, family snapped photos on my phone. She cried, said yes, and posted it on Instagram before we even left. Her mom called it such a blessing. Fast forward to last week. I was at work double-checking a large PEX tubing shipment. Big commercial order, didn't want to miss any fittings, when I got the text. I've been thinking a lot. I need some space to figure things out. I'm not saying it's over, I just need a break. You understand, right? I read it twice, still didn't feel real. That hollow drop in your stomach feeling hit hard. Strangely enough, my first emotion wasn't anger or sadness, it was relief. Which probably says more than I'd like to admit. I put my phone face down, finished my paperwork, signed off on the order, and moved on like nothing happened. The truth is, things had been off for a while. Sabrina started working late around Thanksgiving. She does admin work at Midwest Insurance, data entry, filing. For 2 years, she was home by 5:30 like clockwork. Suddenly, she's getting back at 8 or 9, sometimes later, smelling like takeout and wearing a perfume I didn't recognize. I asked about overtime once. She said year-end workload, backlogged files. Sounded reasonable until I noticed her paychecks hadn't changed at all. No overtime pay, so either she was working for free or not working at all. Our sex life completely died too, from a couple times a week to nothing. Last time was mid-November. After that, it was excuse after excuse. Too tired, stressed, headache, wedding pressure. By Christmas, I stopped trying. Then there was her sister, Chloe. She's 23, works part-time at a mall boutique. Parents cover most of her expenses. They were never especially close. But starting in October, suddenly they're talking every night, door closed, hushed voices. Lunch dates multiple times a week. When I asked what was going on, Sabrina snapped, "Why are you interrogating me? It's just sister stuff." So when that "I need space" text came in, I replied with one line, "Okay. Take the time you need, no begging, no arguing." I was already emotionally checked out. I'd been watching the pattern form for weeks. About 10 minutes later, my buddy Kenny, forklift operator, played football with me in high school, stopped by my office. Took one look at my face and knew something was up. "You good? You look like someone totaled your truck." I told him Sabrina wanted a break. His eyebrows shot up. 5 months before the wedding, that's brutal. What you say? Nothing. Told her okay. He nodded slowly. Yeah, that usually means there's someone else, or she's testing you. Either way, the decision's already made. That matched exactly what I was thinking. He leaned against the cabinet. Honestly, man, you're better off. That family's draining. Her mom's fake, the sister's worse, and Sabrina, he trailed off, shaking his head. Say it, man, she treats you like trash. We've all noticed. He shook his head. That cookout last summer. She made 3 different digs at you, your job, your truck, even what you were wearing. Then laughed it off like it was a joke. That's not humor. That's disrespect. I didn't say anything. Partly because he wasn't wrong, and partly because hearing someone else say it out loud made it hit harder. "Why didn't you ever say anything before?" I asked. He shrugged. "You looked happy, or at least I thought you were. Didn't feel right stepping in. But now that it's already falling apart, yeah. You dodged a bullet." We talked a bit longer. He told me if I needed help boxing up her stuff or just wanted to grab a drink and vent, I could call anytime. That's what actual friends do. I finished the rest of my shift on autopilot. Clocked out around 5:45, got home a little after 6:20. Sabrina's Honda wasn't in her usual spot. I figured she was probably at Chloe's, enjoying her break, whatever that meant to her. I went upstairs, unlocked the door, and walked into an apartment that still looked very much like hers. 3 years' worth of her stuff everywhere, like she'd claimed the place. I ordered pad thai from the Riverside spot, ate it straight from the container while ESPN played Cavs highlights in the background. Tried to care about the game. Couldn't. Went to bed around 10:30, staring at the ceiling, waiting for some big emotional wave to hit. Anger, sadness, regret. Nothing came, just exhaustion. I slept straight through until my alarm Thursday morning, 6:30 am. Same routine. Checked my phone, no texts, no missed calls. She'd been gone all night and didn't bother to say a word. Not that she owed me anything during a break, but still. I showered, made coffee, got dressed. That's when I noticed her iPad on the kitchen counter, plugged in. The big iPad Pro she used for wedding planning, vendors, seating charts, Pinterest boards full of centerpiece ideas. I went to move it so I could wipe the counter. The screen lit up, messages were open. A conversation with Chloe. The last message was time-stamped 11:17 p.m. the night before. He actually said okay to the break, lol. Phase 1 complete. This is almost too easy, I froze. Read it again, phase 1, my stomach dropped. I sat down at the kitchen table and started scrolling. What I read over the next 10 minutes made me feel physically sick. Weeks of messages, dozens of them. Sabrina and Chloe laying everything out like some kind of project plan. The coffee beside me went cold as I kept reading. Sabrina had been sleeping with another guy, Adam Wilson, 28, someone from their church. His dad was one of the elders, apparently had serious money tied up in commercial real estate. The affair had started mid-October. 4 months of lying while I worked, paid bills, and planned a wedding. The messages detailed meeting at his downtown condo, weekend trips she claimed were visits with college friends. Every lie spelled out in text like a record of betrayal. Then came the part that made my hands shake. She was pregnant. 8 weeks, according to a message from 3 days earlier. She didn't know who the father was, could be mine, could be Adam's. And then I saw the plan. Chloe had mapped it all out. Phase 1, ask for a break. Create distance so later she could say we were on a break and she was just seeking comfort. Make it look like I was pulling away. Phase 2, stay with Chloe for a couple weeks. Post vague, sad stuff on social media about growth and self-discovery. Build sympathy. Phase 3, reconcile. Come back saying she realized she couldn't live without me. Phase 4, announce the pregnancy shortly after. Frame it as a surprise from when we were working things out. Let me assume it was mine. Phase 5, rush the wedding. Say it feels right, say we're starting a family, why wait? If I ever question paternity, play the victim. Make me look like a terrible husband who didn't trust his wife. If a DNA test eventually proved it wasn't mine, deal with it later. Either keep lying or divorce me and chase Adam's family money. The messages were vile. Chloe. Mom's going to freak when she finds out about Adam. Sabrina. Mom cares more about appearances than truth. Once there's a baby, she'll help sell whatever story we need. Chloe. And Dad, Sabrina. He'll yell for a week, then write a check. Cole will never know he's raising someone else's kid. Chloe. Unless the baby looks exactly like Adam. Lol. Sabrina. They're both tall with brown hair. Could go either way. And honestly, even if people ever suspected something, nobody would actually confront it. They just gossip quietly while I paid child support and stayed in the dark. Then I saw a message from about 3 weeks earlier. Chloe. Adam's fun and spontaneous, but not exactly husband material. Cole's boring but dependable. Great credit, steady job, already talking about buying a house. Sabrina. I know, lol. Adam makes me feel alive, but Cole's the safe option. You can't beat a 760 credit score and someone planning a future. That was it for me. I took screenshots of everything. Every message. Sent them to my email, wiped the recent activity, and called in sick to work. I sat at that kitchen table for nearly an hour just staring ahead. This wasn't a slip-up. This wasn't confusion. It was a long-term plan. Calculated, cold. They didn't see me as a person, just a bank account with decent credit. Around 10 a.m., I put the iPad back exactly where it had been and started making calls. First, the wedding venue. Asked about cancellation. Since we were over 90 days out, they'd refund $2,500 of the $3,000 deposit. Next, my landlord confirmed Sabrina was never on the lease. Then I called Carlos, a buddy of mine who works as a legal assistant, and asked him to draft an eviction notice. He emailed it to me that evening. I printed it and set it aside. Friday, I went back to work like nothing happened. Kenny asked how I was holding up. I said I was fine, told him I'd figured some things out. He didn't push. Sabrina came by Thursday night around 9 to grab some clothes. Said she was staying with Chloe. I didn't argue. Let her pack and leave. Friday night, she showed up again close to 10, said she needed more stuff, ended up crashing on the couch Saturday morning. I told her I had errands to run. She barely looked up from the TV. Said she might meet Chloe for lunch. No questions from either of us. I drove to the Fifth Third Bank on Porter Street, the branch where we'd opened our joint wedding account. We'd each been putting in $700 a month for 8 months, $5,600 each. After deposits, the account had about $6,100 left. I spoke with Nadia, the same banker who helped us open it. Showed my ID, asked to withdraw my $5,600. She checked the account, clicked through a few screens. Legally, you're allowed to do this, she said. Joint access. 10 minutes later, I had a check. I drove to another branch a few miles away and deposited it into my personal account. Next stop, Kowalski Jewelers, where I'd bought the engagement ring 4 months earlier. 1.2 carat diamond, white gold. $4,800. The owner recognized me instantly. Engagement ring guy. How's married life? I placed the box on the counter. Wedding's off. What can you give me? He examined the ring under a loupe, nodded. Perfect condition. Best I can do is $2,200. Deal paperwork, signatures, check in hand. Took maybe 10 minutes. Better to find out now than 5 years in with kids, he said. Exactly by Saturday afternoon, I'd recovered $7,800. Another $2,500 was coming back from the venue. Total loss? About $1,200. Worth every cent. Carlos called while I was driving home. She's not on the lease, which helps, he said. You need to give written notice. 30 days since she's been there over a year. If she leaves voluntarily, that's that. If not, you file eviction after 30 days. Most people don't want that on their record. Can you draft the notice? Already done. I'll send it. I got home around 2 p.m. Sabrina was on the couch watching reality TV like everything was normal. Can we talk for a minute? I asked. She muted the TV. Sure. I sat across from her, calm. I've been thinking about this break. You're right, we need space. More than space, actually. Her expression shifted. What do you mean I'm calling off the wedding? Silence. She stared at me like she didn't understand the language. What? You can't just, this is what the break is for. We can fix this. I already figured things out, I said. We're not compatible anymore, haven't been for a while. She panicked. What about the deposits, our plans, my family? I withdrew my share of the wedding account this morning. $5,600. Your half is still there. Her shock turned into anger. You can't just take money from our joint. Took exactly what I put in. She stood up, voice rising. You're throwing away 3 years because you're scared? No, I'm just done. I handed her the eviction notice. You also need to move out. You have 30 days. Her face went red as she read it. You're kicking me out. This is my home. It's my apartment, I said. Your name was never on the lease. Where am I supposed to go? You've been staying at Chloe's already. Figure it out. She stared at me like I was a stranger. You're being unreasonable. I asked for space, not a breakup. Cool, I said. You asked for space. I'm giving you a breakup and 30 days notice. Pack whenever. I grabbed my gym bag and left her standing there with the eviction notice, trying to process what just happened. By Saturday night, the fallout started. Around 8 p.m., my phone lit up. Sabrina's mom, Marianne. I was at Kenny's place watching the game. I ignored it. Voicemail came in seconds later, furious and dramatic, demanding I fix this. Deleted it. Then Chloe called, already yelling, accusing me of humiliating her sister, claiming I kicked her out illegally. I shut that down. My lease, proper notice, 30 days. She called me insecure, said I'd regret it. I told her to lose my number and hung up. Sunday morning, Sabrina's dad called. Calm, respectful, wanted my side before judging. I gave him the basics. No details. He paused, then said he understood. Even admitted that asking for a break right before a wedding usually means something's wrong. Later, he shut Marianne down when she tried to gang up on me. I respected him for that. Monday, a text from an unknown number. This is Adam. We need to talk about Sabrina. I said no. He accused me of mistreating her. I told him she was all his and blocked him. By Monday night, Sabrina was spreading her own version. Apparently, I was emotionally distant and scared of commitment. No mention of the break. No mention of Adam. Tuesday morning, I came home to find Sabrina and Chloe inside my apartment, using her key packing boxes. My stuff, coffee maker, dishes, even a lamp was already loaded up. What are you doing? I asked. Getting my things, Sabrina said. I'm not waiting 30 days, take your stuff, I said. Nothing else. Chloe crossed her arms. We'll take whatever we want. You owe her for 3 years. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Say that again. They froze. It's my apartment, I said. It's my apartment. I can record whoever I want. Now leave. Sabrina grabbed 2 boxes, mostly clothes and personal stuff. Chloe took one. As they headed out, both of them stared at me like I was the bad guy. You're going to regret this, Sabrina said at the door. Noted. Leave the key on the counter. No, then I'm changing the locks today, and if you come back, it's trespassing. She threw the key at the wall. It hit the floor. They left, slamming the door. Once they were gone, I called my landlord, told him the other key holder had moved out. He was fine with me changing the locks, just asked for a spare by Wednesday. Things escalated. Sabrina and Chloe started spreading stories at their church, calling me controlling, manipulative, saying I kicked her out without warning. People I barely knew started messaging me, judging, preaching. I ignored all of it. Thursday evening, Adam showed up at my door. I recognized him immediately. I didn't invite him in. Say what you need to say from there, I told him. He claimed Sabrina cared about me and that we should work things out. I shut it down fast. You're sleeping with my fiancée and giving me advice. He went pale, tried to play dumb. She lied to you, I said. Now leave. When he asked if her family knew, I told him they would if he didn't walk away. He left in a hurry. Half an hour later, Sabrina called. What did you say to Adam? The truth. She accused me of ruining everything. I told her I'd read the messages between her and Chloe. Silence. Then she accused me of invading her privacy, and what you planned was fraud, I said. So we're even. She hung up. Friday, her dad called again. He'd heard she was pregnant. Adam had cracked and told his parents, and the truth spread fast. Is it yours? He asked. No. We haven't been together like that for weeks. He sighed. Apologized for his daughter's behavior. Said he'd shut down the lies whenever he heard them. Told me I handled things better than most would. Apparently, Adam's family wanted nothing to do with Sabrina beyond covering pregnancy-related expenses, as long as she stayed away from their son. The church was split, some defending her, others judging her harshly. Marianne was trying to control the story, but Mr. Dennis wasn't backing her this time. Saturday, he called both daughters over for a family meeting. He told me beforehand, said he was done with the manipulation and lies. Later that night, he told me he confronted them about everything. The affair, the pregnancy, and the plan to trap me. When she refused, her father gave her 2 options. Show him the messages or leave his house. She showed him everything. He read it all, the affair, the plan, the messages about using me as provider material. Then he turned to Chloe. She didn't apologize. She doubled down, said they were just securing Sabrina's future, and that I should have stepped up regardless of paternity. He was done after that. He cut them both off. No money, no support. Sabrina could stay with Marianne if she wanted, but he was finished. Chloe could live her life, just not on his dime. When Marianne tried to defend them, he shut her down too, told her she cared more about appearances than character. By Sunday, Sabrina moved in with her mom. Chloe went low contact with their dad and started posting vague rants online. The church split. Some defended Sabrina, others condemned her, most just watched the mess unfold. Adam's family demanded a paternity test before offering any help. Sabrina refused, which only made things worse. Meanwhile, I moved on. Work, gym, friends. Started seriously looking at buying a house now that wedding expenses were gone. My apartment felt like mine again. 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday night, there was a knock at my door. Sabrina stood there, exhausted, a duffel bag at her feet. I stayed in the doorway. She said Adam's family was threatening legal action. Her mom kicked her out. Her dad wouldn't talk to her. Chloe couldn't help. She had nowhere to go. She asked to move back in temporarily. I said no. She cried, said she was pregnant, said she needed help. I told her she wasn't helpless, just facing consequences. The baby wasn't mine, and it wasn't my responsibility. She accused me of being heartless. I reminded her she'd planned to trick me into raising another man's child. She apologized. I acknowledged it, and still said no. Eventually, she turned and walked away. I closed the door, went back to the couch, turned the TV back up, and got on with my life. Finally free of manipulation, lies, and someone else's chaos, Sabrina had gambled on me being weak, on guilt, obligation, or me folding under pressure. She lost. Turns out actions have consequences, and once you burn a bridge, you don't get to cross it again when it's convenient. I didn't feel guilty or angry. Mostly, I felt calm. I handled it cleanly, and that was enough. 2 weeks later, I put an offer on a small house about 20 minutes from work. Quiet neighborhood, 3 bedrooms, fenced yard. Needed some fixing, but solid. Offer got accepted. Carlos helped with the paperwork. Kenny helped me move. I ditched what I didn't need and started fresh. No history, no baggage. Through the grapevine, I heard Sabrina moved a couple hours away to stay with relatives. She had the baby. A paternity test confirmed it was Adam's, and she took him to court. His family agreed to monthly support but wanted no involvement beyond that. Chloe got cut off just like her dad promised. Had to get a real job for the first time and spent months ranting online about it. As for me, I kept working, fixing up the house, and living life on my own terms. And hey, if you've made it this far, we're close to hitting 100,000 subscribers. If you're not subscribed yet, consider hitting that button. It really helps the channel.